You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
To another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. And guess who's back? Guess who's back? Back again. That's right, our normal new host. There he is over there. What's his name? Sean Sebastian. There he is. And, of course, as always, we don't care about him.
The commanders have commanded him to live again.
They command his presence.
He lives again.
He is here.
After that horrible otter accident.
We're glad to see that they sewed your head back on.
I shared with everybody how that, Edie's, she don't like that otter.
I don't know, Edie, that's the first time she's barked on this show.
She said, I hear something about an otter attacking people's throats. What?
Yeah.
Not on my watch.
Well,
I'm trying to.
Not on my watch. She's got your back, Sean.
She's got it.
I'm glad to hear it because I don't even know what you're talking about.
You died.
I told everybody how the otter killed you at the lake.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It bit your head clean off.
Yeah.
I mean, you weren't the same, but
that's
why
you
sewed your head back on.
That's why you weren't here last week, but the commanders have commanded you to live again, so we're all good.
Yeah, that's good.
It was before their regular season got started. They thought,
Absolutely.
well, the Washington Commanders came in, and they said, well, we're going to take care of
command
business.
you.
Washington Commanders.
Yeah. They couldn't,
Well, they can't be the
Chiefs,
No.
Redskins.
Redskins.
Yes,
the
they
Redskins.
can.
Nope.
They certainly can.
They can't. The witch doctor can't
Dude,
revive you
I
anymore.
didn't even
the commanders
realize
have to command you.
when we were making that joke last week.
Which joke?
True, it wasn't a joke. His head was sewn back on. We have the proof on his neck. Look. Show your
proof
show
is
your
in the
neck.
pudding.
There it is. It's right under his. Right there. There it is. You see
Anyways,
it.
while we were
he
sharing
had
our
shaved
otter
around it.
incident,
No, I was surprised because the movie we reviewed last week, RRR, Triple R, is an Indian film, and I had no correlation.
not that type of Indian though.
When I know, but when I name dropped the Indians, I didn't realize to clarify I was talking about Native American
Native
Indians,
Americans,
not the. But although,
not South Asian.
how do we know the Native Americans didn't get their power from the Indians of India?
Maybe. I don't
Maybe.
know.
The Indians.
I mean, we saw
India.
in that film last week the power that love, rise, revolt, and oh crap, what was the third R?
There's lots of them.
It's
there's more than 3.
Fire
It's
and
roar,
water.
roar,
and
rise,
roar,
revolt.
rise. That was
roar,
it.
rise, revolt is
Got
what the 3 R's stand for.
huge
yeah.
responses from our Indian
we got a lot of-
viewership. It grew by like 1,000%.
Here's the thing. It was a much better movie than I hate to say it, but it was a much better movie than what we have reviewed this week. So,
Well, I know.
I gave RRR 3 stars. I mean, it was ridiculous in moments, but it's very entertaining.
Oh, it was great. And honestly,
this one I didn't give that many stars.
there were a lot of suggestions in the chat, and I just want any viewers who may tune in to not be disappointed by what we review tonight.
Yeah,
It's another indie flick, and when I say indie, like Triple R is not indie in terms of India.
well, it was.
but it's indie here because
Tollywood, yeah.
it's Tollywood.
This
and
was a
you don't
independent flick that Lionsgate picked up and yeah.
Yeah. But we have a few suggestions from last week's show that I think it's incubating. We're debating on what we could watch. There were a lot of great suggestions. I do want to look through the list again.
I might
Tons
check
of great responses.
Actually, the 2 movies the director of RRR that he made previously I've heard are good, so I'd like to check them out. Because,
Absolutely.
One's a sequel to the other, but I mean he made them before this, so I wouldn't mind checking that out.
But I just want any of our viewers, our new viewers, we're gonna just take off in India. Okay?
Yeah.
Take off.
This week we'll just
The Red Moon Podcast is so great. I love those guys. God. Those Indian, I'm telling you. Hey, I love lamb tikka masala, okay? Just saying. Shout out.
I like chicken tikka
pandering.
masala.
I am pandering.
I don't know if
right
I've ever
now.
had the lamb, but
That's
I do
good.
love the chicken tikka masala.
Super expensive,
Yeah.
but good.
Oh, did you do the lamb?
Yeah,
before?
it was
Okay.
really good.
Yeah, I've done the chicken and
And you,
no, I've had lamb.
I'm
I
not
haven't-
doing
it's
the chicken.
The goat. I haven't had the goat tikka masala. I have had the lamb.
whatever you do,
Yeah.
do not eat the cow. Don't eat the puppy.
Yeah.
Don't eat Sheba.
That's good. I make chicken tikka masala at home now.
Well,
man.
wait a
It's
sec.
great.
Have you? Now you can. You're my testament to this. Okay, I'm
I
not.
guess.
I'm not just
I
pandering.
don't- yeah.
And I don't know if this is an Indian cultural thing, but I do know that I love their dessert that they call.
It's a type of cheesecake.
They call it cheesecake.
Yeah,
it
it's your
has
milk sponge.
nothing. It's a milk sponge.
It's milk
That's
and cheese,
it.
but the
It's so
texture's kind
good.
of sponge-like. Yeah,
It's so freaking
Sponge
good.
cake.
I call it a milk sponge. I don't care for it, but Brandon loves it.
Nobody else does.
Yeah.
Everybody. Every time we've gone there with Nathan. Oh gosh, who else has gone there?
Neil,
Neil,
Megan.
yeah.
You talking about Shalimar?
Shalimar, yeah. And
I love
you don't
Shalimar.
like it?
Dude, I have
Because
PTSD.
Never mind. I
yeah.
remember.
PTSD.
We don't need to bring that
But
up.
I don't go to Shalimar anymore. I just make tikka masala at home now, and
There
it's
you
so
go.
good.
Oh, God.
You can Kroger's has in their bakery section the naan in the deli.
Yeah.
Where you can buy that,
Yep.
and then I just cook it myself, and
There
it's
you go.
so amazing.
Well, and before we get to our review, too, one last thing. I just want to give a shout out to our homegirl, J-Law, who's just, she's just so traumatized out there by Tucker Carlson that I wanted to just let you know it's going to be okay, all right?
Well, it didn't start there. It started
We
with
hope.
the fact that apparently all her friends and family from here are just too conservative for
Too
her.
much.
Yeah, then she just
Well.
had a falling out that she had to
See,
repair.
She went
Wow.
to the
Yeah.
shining light on a hill called Hollywood.
Yeah.
And they enlightened
educated her.
Yeah. So she knew by coming back here
So-
to the bluegrass state.
Apparently, it
It's
wasn't.
only a shining light on a hill for like 6 hours a day, and then
Yeah.
they turn the power off.
Yeah.
So they conserve
Make sure you
the
get your car
electricity.
charged up before then.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's why she's back in Kentucky or something.
Yeah. She's trying to repair broken relationships.
It's
Okay.
like you can
Well,
only
she had
charge your
her-
electric car.
I think I read
between
she
certain hours of the day.
she had her kid
yeah.
and she's trying to mend the relationship with,
With
her
her
father.
father.
She's had a spawn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did not know
it-
that.
It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
Aronofsky, is it?
I think so.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
The rapist?
No, it ain't
She was
him.
off, she was off for Darren. No, Darren Aronofsky's not a rapist.
Who's the one that
No,
fled the
that's Roman Polanski.
Roman
Yeah, that's Roman
Polanski?
Polanski,
My
yeah.
bad.
and
my
soon
bad.
to be.
Excuse me,
oh,
Darren
gosh.
Aronofsky.
Because she took the year off for her whatever to save the world, and then
Yeah.
she got pregnant and was off longer. So
Well, that's how she saved it. She gave birth to the Savior.
That's
Yeah.
oh gosh,
what's
that's
what's
it.
the kid's name? Jesus?
Obama the
Yeah.
second. You looking that up? You fact checking us in real time?
I'm trying to see who she had a baby with.
I do want to know.
It's
I
hard to
totally,
fact check on an old iPad.
Something
it-
is
yeah.
He tries to scroll and it just
Hey,
doesn't
that-
keep up with his finger.
that
Mine
Apple
doesn't either.
Cook Maroney. I don't know who he is.
That's it. That's who she had a baby by.
Yeah, it says welcomes first child with husband Cook Maroney.
That's right, because
That was-
Aronofsky was when she did Mother.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was
she
that,
was with
that
him then.
fizzled after
This
after
was
the premiere.
She had
Yeah.
the baby earlier this year.
That's right.
Yeah.
She got married. They are married.
Yeah, they're married.
Yeah.
I don't
They've-
know.
how long have they been married? Like
I have no.
a
I'm not
year?
looking all that up. I don't care.
It should if it's on Google, it should just say.
What if she got married in Kentucky?
Because I googled Jennifer Lawrence baby daddy. It doesn't say.
Jennifer Lawrence baby daddy.
It doesn't
It's a long
say
list.
because I didn't look her up, so it doesn't say how long they've been
Yeah,
married.
that's the only Spawn we
Yeah.
know about. We don't know about the
Yeah.
other ones.
Yeah, the secret ones.
Yeah.
So-
The other one's the Antichrist.
Bradley Cooper's got one.
I
floating
just
out there
she got
somewhere.
made fun of because apparently she just has nightmares, and she shared that with her therapist that Tucker Carlson gives her nightmares. I guess. So.
Well,
Does
we-
she watch Tucker Carlson?
she said she haunts her dreams, and she told her
But that's
therapist
what I
that, like she needed
how
to
do
go
you
to
know
therapy
unless you
because-
watch it.
Apparently she does. Well, I guess her family does. You know,
Her
her terrible father.
Exactly.
her terrible father. Well, she
That's,
didn't call him terrible.
That's
I
the
shouldn't say
claim.
that.
The claim is that so much misinformation from her family is being funneled through her family.
Apparently, her
to her.
her family raised her wrong, and Hollywood taught her right.
That's
This is what we're getting here.
That's what she said.
you know.
That's verbatim.
I get
That's
it.
exactly
I get
what
it now.
she said.
I understand completely.
So
Yeah.
I mean, hey, shout out
She
to
was
J-Law.
ignorant, but now she knows better.
Our thoughts and concerns.
yeah, you can't say
You
prayers.
can't. She doesn't. She's
No.
she's
Our
enlightened
thoughts.
now.
Yeah.
Thoughts are with you, J Law. We can only hope that when you come back to the great state, the bluegrass state, we become more enlightened by your presence because of all the brilliance that
Yeah.
you have learned from your years of just a painstaking thought in Hollywood
Yeah.
and those brilliant performances that no one can match. No one. Absolutely brilliant. Alrighty, I guess now with that out of the way, we should probably bring up our review
Yeah.
for this week, which
We're at
you've
9
already
minutes.
alluded to.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say,
Let's go.
I hope that Jennifer Lawrence shining star never falls.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful.
As the box office struggles this Labor Day weekend, despite theaters' $3 movie tickets for National Cinema Day and a re-release of Spider-Man No Way Home, we review a film that released a few weeks back. Fall came and went with little fanfare. Its trailer seemed cheap and the film garnered little interest. Over time, however, the film gained some traction and has garnered generally favorable reviews for being a bit of an underdog. With the lack of smaller, more intimate films being released, is Fall an underrated gem more audiences should be viewing? Directed by Scott Mann, who co-wrote with Jonathan Frank, Fall is a small independent film made for $3 million. Picked up by Lionsgate and given a theatrical release, the movie has so far managed a nice $8.3 million and gained some fans along the way, making for a modest success for Lionsgate. Starring Grace Curry as Becky and Virginia Gardner as her best friend Hunter, Becky falls into a depression abusing drugs and alcohol after the death of her husband Dan, while the two of them along with Hunter are rock climbing. Becky's father, portrayed by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, is deeply concerned for his daughter, but Becky keeps him at arm's length. Eventually, in an attempt to force Becky to face her fears and get out of her own head, Hunter convinces Becky to join her in scaling a 2,000-foot abandoned TV tower in the desert. When the ladder of the tower gives out, the two are trapped at the tower's top, forced to survive until they can find a way to be rescued. Fall, if nothing else, is an interesting premise with an important message of appreciating life. Unfortunately, I'm not amongst the fans and critics who have become endeared to this film. Akin to movies such as 127 Hours or The Shallows, where a character is trapped in impossible odds and forced to survive, Fall doesn't offer anything new or clever. Too many times I felt the movie asks its audience to suspend their disbelief too much. And much like my gripes with The Black Phone earlier this summer and Beast more recently, there are moments when the characters are forced to use their wits only to make obviously bad decisions. With bad dialogue and poorly delivered lines on top of poor CGI, the whole film just feels cheap. Now granted, this movie was made on a low budget, but the thing is the story is simple and didn't need a high budget. The problem isn't a low budget, but a director and writers with cheap vision. We've seen powerful and moving survival films in the past, and Fall misses the mark. It's not a horrible film. There are genuine moments the movie tries to elicit emotion, such as scenes between Becky and her father, scenes that try to build tension, and even a slight twist and shocking resolution to Becky's survival. And these things will definitely be enough to placate the casual viewer. But there was never enough depth or emotion to keep me invested. Add on the cheap visuals, bad dialogue, and poor plot decisions, and the unbearable mediocrity just outweighed everything decent in the film for me. With a tighter script and less melodrama, Fall could have been a film with high tension that keeps you on the edge of your seat. And while there are a few of those moments littered throughout, the film as a whole just isn't well done or clever enough to keep me invested. I give Fall 2 out of 4 stars.
Man, we're already ribbing on it.
That's generous.
It was generous. Well, I liked it more than Beast. That's
true,
about all I could
true.
say about it.
Well, this one had 2 good-looking girls in it.
yeah.
So Beast didn't have
It
that.
was funny because I did read online, and I actually could kind of tell in the movie a little bit, not so much with. So when they got the movie, they went in and changed some things with the dialogue where they said a lot of F-bombs, and they went and had them redub it and say freaking a lot. And then they
I could kind of tell.
They used deep fake to change the mouth. And there were moments where I was just like, why is it so, like every time the blonde girl said freaking, it was so weird.
It sounded
and out
bizarre.
of place.
Yes.
And I was like, this sounds weird. And it also just sounded really childish. And I'm not saying, like, because, I mean, the F word can sound childish, too. Like, you don't need that a lot either. But just the way, like, she was using it, I was like, I don't know how many people, like, her age naturally just like, this is freaking stupid. This freaking, like, the way, like, as much as she was throwing, I was like, it just didn't seem, it seemed out of character for her age demographic and who she was. I was just like, this is so weird that she's just running around like a middle schooler, freaking. And then when it was like, when I read that Lionsgate, when they bought the movie to give it a PG-13 rating so it would sell better, which makes sense because this movie needed it.
It needs to be geared towards 13-year-olds.
Well, it had a $3 million budget and it did make $8 million. So, but here's the thing: like if it had been R-rated, then I guarantee you it wouldn't have made the money it needed.
Well,
to
and
make back.
apparently I noticed from the trailer when I was editing the video is from it's called a 48 Meters Down is a movie.
Yeah.
It's from the same director.
Same director. Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe this guy just
low-budget
does
survival movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
The Shallows was another one with Blake Lively.
Did he do both of them? I didn't know he did 48 Meters
Scott
and The
Mann.
Shallows. Okay.
Wow.
Well, The Shallows is actually good
Because you brought that one up in the review.
I brought that up in the
He
review.
did Open Water too.
Okay.
I haven't seen that one.
But I did bring up in the review The Shallows, and I also mentioned 127 Hours just because this gave me like similar vibes as far as the survival aspect goes. But I'm like, there's so many movies that have already done like a survival situation better, with better emotion, better writing, better everything, that this doesn't do anything new at all. And the dialogue and writing and everything's terrible. So I'm like, okay, so literally you gave me a movie I've seen before, but worse. Good job.
No, it's funny that I was glad you brought up 127 Hours, because just the color palette and, of course, them being out in a desolate area, it's like that was my first thought when I started watching this film. Is
similar vibes.
It just evoked that kind of feel. And then I kept thinking about it. I was like, but that's such a better movie.
Oh, yeah. That's such a great movie.
And honestly, it's funny because there are the two girls that Aaron or well, I don't know if I can drop James Franco because he's banished.
He's canceled now.
J-Law canceled him. So he runs into them though when he's on his journey, and I'm like, man, I was like, that could have been a cool, clever story of a tie-in.
What if it was them?
Those two girls.
Well, he's stuck in a crack. They're up on
on top of the tower.
But then I was like, no, they wouldn't want to draw attention to a better movie.
Yeah.
Because that's really what I kept thinking through. I was trying to give it the benefit of the doubt.
Here's the thing. Like, actually, like, if you go online, the critic score and user score on Rotten Tomatoes are both in the 70s. Yeah. So I was expecting something maybe a little mediocre, since that is a little low, but something that was still decent. And when I'm watching this, is like, I kind of get why audiences are okay with it. Like, it's not terrible. I mean, it'll hold your attention if you're not looking for anything special. But the fact that even critics were kind of giving it a pass, I was like, that's kind of odd. Like, I don't know what about this movie. Critics are like, yeah, this is fine. This is okay.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Well, I kept thinking that the reason critics were being so kind was I thought there would be something clever throughout the film.
I guess maybe the end, the twist at the end, but
no,
even that
wasn't. You see it coming.
No, but it's still set up as a twist. So I'm like,
I do agree with Sean though. It was very poorly done in terms of the editing.
Oh no, I'm not arguing.
Like the editing was not
set up to be this big reveal, but I'm like, yeah, that.
It was like
shocking.
she conveniently hurts her hands, so that she can't climb the pole and she can't fly the drone, and she can't do that. And I'm like, they're using the hands because she can't do it because she's not really there.
Yeah.
And she's had hallucinations or these vivid dreams before in the movie, so it's like,
well, everything
she's
they
dead.
set up, the twist between her husband and her friend, like even the beginning, her dad, who's played by Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who is normally
that was just out of nowhere.
He's normally a fantastic actor.
Movie.
Like that's the one
couldn't
part
even whip up tears at the end. Like, what are you doing?
I have seen him do amazing roles before, and then I'm watching him in this, and I'm like, it's like he's just like, I'm getting paid to. I'll just phone this in real quick and go home. Like, I don't know. He was bad.
It did. It seemed like, because even I noticed that the blonde-headed girl, I'd seen her before, but I had to look her up, and I realized she was in the first Halloween. It's funny though, because her role is very similar to this, which is just like teenage. Yeah. Like I think that was the thing that bugged me the most about the film, is just the very juvenile writing.
They're supposed to be young adults because they were married and such. So they should at least be
that's
in
what
their
I'm
20s,
thinking. And even like from the get-go, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, they're going to build like a nice kind of relationship between her and her husband and do these flashback scenes that really let you see what she missed.
No, I didn't feel bad for any of these people.
None. Like, that was the other problem. I'm like, I didn't care if any of them survived.
Yeah, it's like, you deserve it.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate to say it, but just like
people.
the massive amount of stupid decisions that were made consecutively.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're God doesn't want you to come off that tower. Like, I was like, when the freaking semi-truck hits the drone,
yes,
I was just like, they set that up by showing you the semi-truck plowing through the road
hitting
and then
them.
almost hitting them.
I'm like, why would you even fly
as
it in
soon
the
as
road?
it flew over the road,
and
I was like,
you
it's gonna
can't
get
see
hit.
the semi that far away coming.
Okay,
like,
and correct me if I'm wrong.
Even when you're looking through the screen, it's like, you
why
still
would you
pay
fly it
attention.
that low?
Well,
anyway,
and I don't own a drone, but correct me if I'm wrong.
It wouldn't fly that far.
You need service even to connect with it.
No.
You don't?
No.
So you can do a direct connection from the phone to the drone?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
They, like,
I wanted to make sure that wasn't a plot hole.
They have their own directional Wi-Fi thing that works.
There's even other, like her dropping her phone down there. Like, maybe it'll get a signal and send out. And I'm just like, that was stupid.
Yeah, that was dumb.
But even that, I was like, even if you were going to try that, as dumb as it is, like, why not use the drone to fly one of the phones down there so you know it's not going to be shattered?
That's
like,
true.
It's still probably not going to work because after a while it stops trying. Like, if it doesn't get the signal, it just stops. But it's like, if you could get it down there fast enough, maybe it would work. But
you could have got it down there to send a message and then bring the phone back up to
see if it sent.
That's what I'm saying, with the drone. And I was like, why didn't you use the drone?
Just throw our phones, our only lifeline away.
We're just going to toss this down here 2,000 feet. And hopefully the phone will survive and send a signal out. no. Like, who even thinks that's plausible?
Well, that was the thing. There were also too many of those moments where, as they were setting it up, they did too much explanation and dialogue.
Oh.
Like, just...
Well, because they're really trying to force the fact that this might work. And it's like, no, there's no explanation you can give me that this is going to work.
Well, I think they're trying to sell the cleverness of the girls. Yeah. And I'm like, no, I didn't buy that. I bought that they're
I could have thought of 10 different better ways that they could have done that.
Yep.
And I'm just like, oh, first of all, if that light bulb at the top is for airplanes, they're not going to put a freaking incandescent house light bulb in it.
Not the same thing.
You change that every month. Yeah. They can't go up there every month. That would have been an industrial light up there.
In television, God. I know our TV towers. You're talking about a bulb that's about huge, two size my head.
Yeah.
At least.
Well, again, because
it's not a freaking little house bulb that's 60 watts.
Well, they even mentioned it at the beginning of the movie. They even mentioned it's like the tower is no longer like in service, but they still have the lights, so planes don't fly into it. So it's like if you need something big enough for a plane to see, it's not going to
They set the whole charging thing up in the very beginning with the light bulb in the restaurant.
Everything they did, they set up beforehand. I'll give them that, but it's all done terribly.
Well, but it's done in a way that it's the hand on her in the photo. It shows the dude's hand, and I'm like, there's Dan's hand.
Yep.
Like I knew it right away.
The 143 and like that being on her ankle, and I kept thinking, oh, here we go. I will say I didn't think that they were gonna have actually like gotten together. I thought it was gonna be like, oh, she brought her here because she missed him because she was in love with him. I thought that was gonna be the reveal.
No, they had
the fact that they actually had relations. I was like, dude, I was like, she's gonna push you off here.
I thought the same thing.
And I was like, I'd be okay with it.
So, I mean, what would be the point now? He's dead. It's not anybody to fight over.
But that was the thing, is they kind of led you into believing this was supposed to be this camaraderie or like this beautiful moment of them not only celebrating his life and knowing life to celebrate in general, but also this idea of they're going to have a rekindling of their friendship and know that you see
if you don't
moments,
want to die, you better live.
That was stupid too.
I know that wasn't his actual quote. She corrects her later, but even still, was a bad line.
It was
what does he always say? If you don't want to die, you better live. I was like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
You brought it up in your review, and it's like, just like with the movie Black Phone, which I haven't seen it still, but I know
Black Phone's better than this. Look, I had similar gripes about how like you could see things that would have been better ideas than what the characters tried. That definitely happens in Black Phone, but Black Phone wasn't this dumb.
But in terms of it thinking it's more clever than it is,
definitely
it has faults, and I would say by far. This seems like, I love the way you wrote it in there. It's like, it's not that there was just cheap special effects. We've seen movies that, and look, there could have still, I would have given this a pass with the cheap special effects had the story and the danger and the fear actually been realistic.
It was very low budget, but the story they told didn't need a high budget.
No.
It's like they just needed a
cheap
vision
tight, was the word you
used.
Yes,
it came down to cheap vision because you needed a better writer and better director to, like, the idea wasn't a bad idea of like them being stuck up there. It's just everything about the story was awful.
Yeah. I mean, the CGI I thought was... I mean, dude, when
better than the teaser.
Yeah,
when they're at the top of the tower
terrible.
And it looks down, it looks like Google Earth before the image loads. Like when you zoom in and it doesn't load yet, that's what the ground looks like.
At the beginning when he falls off the mountain, like I was like, that's terrible. It's like green screen.
It's horrible.
Like he falls and I'm just like, ooh.
But it looked like it looked like they threw a freaking sock full of feathers at her when the birds are attacking. Like it doesn't even look like a real bird. It's like a fake wing, and it just throws
high up
slings at her.
When they have the thunderstorm and she's sitting there holding, it's like I get like they're showing her holding on for life and she's huddled, but I'm like, she would be freezing that high up in the rain.
Well,
and the wind,
those towers sway.
Yeah.
Like even though they're tied down,
I know they tried to
4
show
or 5
her
feet.
like struggling to survive, but it's like, no, it'd be way worse. Like she would really be fighting to survive right now, and she's just laying there like holding on to the pole, and I'm like,
well, and that was the other thing. Even just with the buzzards, I'm like, you can't tell me. I know they were trying. The problem was they were trying to set up all these other instances of there being traps. I mean, even when they do finally shoot off the flare, and it's like, oh, these two douchebags are like, we're still in our car. And I'm like, why? Like, why are they out in the middle of nowhere? And they just like, they kept wanting to show all of these moments of they just can't catch a break.
Yes.
And I was like, but you're using all of these moments that, you're going to the extreme when there are so many more subtle things. They could have had it to where maybe the whole ladder didn't collapse at first until they went down there, and then more of it went away. There just could have been so many other moments. The swaying in the weather. I'm like,
they chose the most abstract, ridiculous stuff to cause them problems, and I'm like, like everything that could go possibly wrong was going wrong, and I'm like, this is just getting.
But
stupid.
even everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong
so
in the more
ridiculous.
Yes,
in the most over the top way. It's like, oh, we got these guys' attention. Oh, now they're stealing our truck, and I'm like, what?
Why?
I felt like they were saying, as to us, the viewer, they were like, okay, here's an idea that you would come up with, but here's how it wouldn't work. And they just constantly show you, like, because you're sitting there thinking, oh, well, what if they cushion the phone and send it down?
Yes.
And I'm just like, and then they come up with that. That was one of the first things I was thinking. I was like, well, if you need the phone to be on the ground, like, you could probably cushion it with the backpack or something and drop it.
Better than
a shoe and a sock.
Yeah.
But again,
but they were setting it up that way.
Yeah.
They were wanting that's
they
the
wanted the setup for
they
what happens
wanted
at the end,
people who were viewing this, like teenagers who were watching
people
this,
who are too stupid
to
to
be
know
like,
better.
oh my gosh, I'm with them there and I get it.
Yeah.
I could survive. And it's like, no, you wouldn't.
No.
You would be dead.
Well, they didn't even come ready to survive. That's what I'm talking about. You got two professional rock climbers.
They had a bottle of water.
that have a bottle of water and
they tried to explain
Chuck
it.
Taylor shoes.
Yes.
I'm like, who climbs a freaking mountain with Chuck Taylor shoes? I know they were climbing a ladder, but still, the one girl wore her Merrill like $200 rock climbing shoes.
Yeah.
The other girl's got her red Chucks on.
They set that up too, though. She asked, before they go up there, did you pack food? Oh, we don't need it. We'll be back by noon. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Here we go.
I think
I
anybody
don't go freaking hiking without a first aid kit. And all
anybody
that
who's a
stuff,
professional, is going to at least
I'm
be
not a professional.
more prepared. I thought the same thing, and
Yeah.
even I thought that might be an
her Walmart backpack.
Well, I even thought they might go that route with them being professional climbers. Maybe they would try to find a way down the tower without the ladder. And
oh no,
and they didn't even try that. They were just
me.
Like, they were just
have
like,
you ever
oh
watched,
no.
Have you ever watched Tree Huggers?
Yeah,
No.
Like not making fun of.
No, the
those
people
tree
that
huggers.
actually,
They
yeah.
literally
No.
they sling a rope around the tree and they move it
Like,
and then they climb and then
I really
they move
thought,
it.
yeah.
You could have done that all the way down to the next.
It would
the
have been
next tower.
dangerous,
Yep.
yes, but it would have added
Yes.
tension. And I thought, well, them as professionals, maybe they'll try to figure a way to climb down without the ladder. And
No.
they were just like, no, this is impossible now. And it's like, well, I guess you
no,
guys suck
they
at climbing.
decided to just jump
It was
on a
just
microwave dish that was going
That
to
wouldn't have
that would not have helped.
I was like, as soon as she landed on that, it would have snapped and she
yep.
would have been gone.
Well, the first time she falls, I mean, people don't realize when you're falling, you're heavier than you normally because you have the momentum.
Yeah.
The momentum,
and the momentum would have pulled
force.
that other girl right off of there, or it would
she
have
caught
ripped
herself.
Oh, that's just stupid.
I agree. It was dumb.
It was just stupid.
It was.
Yeah.
And the whole beginning of it, when it shows there's way too many scenes of the rusty railing and like it showed about 15 different holes
like we
in the
already knew
we
gonna
know
fall.
it's rusty.
Literally,
we know what's going to
I swear,
happen.
almost every step they'd cut away to something rickety and shaking, and I'm like, if I'm seeing this as a viewer with every step they take,
you would think they would see it
they
going
would probably
up.
be like, let's
This
hold off
doesn't
on
look
this.
safe.
This
They would
doesn't make any
see it
sense.
to know better enough than to shake the whole ladder. Like, oh look, it's gonna fall off. It's like,
It's sad. We're ripping into this
Well,
movie. We gave it
I
2
gave
out
it
of
2.
This
What
is on the
happens to
low
stupid
end
people.
of the bad 2 out of 4 stars.
Yep.
This is bad.
Maybe it deserves. I didn't give it less because I thought it was better than Beast. But
I gave it 1.
But honestly, it might deserve less.
It's a bad movie. Don't watch it.
I don't know
Don't
what
waste
to say
your time.
about it other than
I couldn't believe that like it actually had gotten as much positive buzz as it had. Like
That's the only reason when you said you wanted to review it, I was like, I checked it out and I was like, okay, like audience and critics are pretty.
Well, that's the only reason I thought it might be
equal.
interesting because it's like, oh, here's a movie
that doesn't happen often where they're
it's pretty similar.
Yeah, it was like 78 and 79.
It was a movie we all thought looked dumb, and then the critics and audience score was actually fairly decent. And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is an underrated gem. And then I watched it, it's like, nope.
Yeah,
nope.
The Shallows was there's unbelievable moments. But for a CGI shark movie and a girl stuck on a freaking rock, it's very good.
What was the one about the alligator? That one was really good.
Crawl.
Crawl.
Yeah.
That was
oh my
much,
God.
I heard
Yeah.
that was really good.
Much,
that was terrifying.
better.
Who was
Way
I forget, you told me, I forget who the director was, but they actually inspired, I think, like Jordan Peele, and it was some unknown director who did that movie. Or was it Sam Raimi? Sam Raimi didn't do Crawl, did he?
I don't know.
Who did Crawl?
I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Because I remember this being a big deal when we brought it up. Because
I don't.
That was
I
a
don't
great
know.
movie.
I don't think we reviewed it officially.
We didn't.
But I want to say that we did because you all had both seen it. Oh wow, and it's funny because Gladriel's in it from
She's
Rings
the
of
dog.
Power.
Yeah, she is.
Oh no, Alexander Aja.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm not sure what else he's done.
I know the father
The
was
Hills Have Eyes remake. Ugh, high
Yeah.
tension, Piranha 3D.
Oh God.
Oh wow.
Well, those all would have been before Crawl, though.
Yeah.
Maybe I fibbed, and I don't know. I'm pulling some other memory from.
Sam Raimi was a producer for Crawl.
Okay,
that's probably what we saw.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I will say, I just Fall was not the indie flick that I was expecting it to be. It was not one that I would put on your radar. If you're looking for something, watch last week's review, Triple R. Much more entertaining on Netflix.
Much better.
I'm telling you, you'll get a lot more.
I mean, the dance scene in that movie is
freaking
worth
amazing,
it alone.
dude.
Definitely better.
Those dudes were dancing hard.
It was awesome. It was freaking awesome.
It was like dancing in Mortal Kombat. Like it was badass.
Oh, dude, that's the best way to describe it.
It is. It is really entertaining. Definitely
awesome.
check that out. Don't watch Fall.
It was funny because when we came back from the lake and we had only watched 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
But I ended up going back and rewatching the dance scene.
I rewatched the whole thing again.
It was just
but
so good.
I like it.
It was all.
It's like 10 minutes long too.
It's
a long
freaking
dance
amazing,
scene.
though.
But yeah, it's worth it.
So don't check out Fall. Check out RRR instead. And I think maybe we're ready to move on because we don't need to discuss Fall
Let's dive
anymore.
into our headlines this week. All right, let's talk about the first. Keep going. That was our intro for Baldwin returning to acting.
See, I threw in Darling in there.
That's the theme to his Broadway play.
Well, see, I thought we were going with a different one first because the number one headline here wasn't Baldwin, so I said Darling.
I know. Yeah,
I was trying to lead into something else. I apologize.
I'm sorry. I had
done Oh My Darling.
I forget which. Oh yeah, never mind.
You changed the number one to.
I did, and I didn't create a lower third for it. So
that's
we got to talk about. Well,
we can talk about Baldwin first. That's fine.
Yeah,
the other one's more gossipy, and we don't really get into that much.
But it is kind of funny what's going on.
Oh, I think it's worth mentioning for sure because there is a lot of drama. We'll
talk about it.
People, I'm sure, are already saying "Darling." People already know Olivia Wilde.
And
stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
But Baldwin, he's coming back.
He's starring in the Broadway version of Bang.
Yeah,
and it is.
I just think that's hilarious. I killed a person. I'm gonna go star in Bang.
It's not. He's not. He's not.
No.
I'm joking about the name of the.
I didn't know. I thought you were serious.
I knew he was joking, but then when you said it, I was just like, "Oh crap!"
I didn't know.
For real. I didn't know.
I knew he was going back to Broadway. I didn't know what he was starring in. I know he's with Tony Shalhoub's doing it too.
He's starring in Jailhouse Rock.
Well, now I don't believe you. Now I don't believe you.
He's starring in Shots Fired.
Yeah. What is he going to be in?
I don't know.
Nobody knows. Who cares?
See, he don't know either. He's going to be on Broadway though because he needs money to pay all his legal bills.
He's doing the Broadway version of Rust. Because the movie's never going to come out.
I'm looking. Hold on. It's called. Oh gosh.
Art.
Oh no, here it is.
Isn't
it's called Art.
Oh.
It's just called Art.
Yeah.
Yep. And he is looking to, and it's at the 60. Yeah, be heavy in the lifters of Tony Shalhoub.
Yeah, Tony Shalhoub. Yeah,
or Shalhoub, who is I just know him from Monk.
Yeah, Monk.
John Leguizamo and the Tony Award-winning Matthew Warchus, who staged the acclaimed comedy of The Great White Way. But Art will likely open in the spring at Schubert Theater.
I did read that they actually didn't have producers yet, but they already hired a cast and everything, and now they're looking for someone to produce it, which is normally you get your producers first. So I thought that was interesting that Alec Baldwin's like, I'm gonna be in this, but it may not happen if we don't get producers.
One of the quotes struck me as odd because he's talking about how he's just ready to go back. To the some form of acting because everything is just
no one else
down.
would hire me.
So we're supposed to feel bad for him because he murdered somebody.
And now his life's in ruins.
He said, Baldwin has a difficult time returning to work since the shooting. He told CNN, "I got fired from another job yesterday. There I was, set to go to a movie, jump on a plane. I've been talking with these guys for months, and they told me yesterday, we don't want you to film." With you because of this. And I'm like,
what do you mean? Get out of here.
Maybe because they know that no matter what you star in, you're going to obviously draw bad publicity, and nobody's forgotten that you killed somebody.
Well, and here's the thing.
You keep completely shrugging off any responsibility.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Maybe they also know the fact that if crap does hit the fan on their production, they know they can't rely on him to do what's right. He's just going to
shoot somebody else.
It's just like if anything happens, they know he's just going to throw everybody else under the bus. So it's like, yeah.
I just pictured him on Broadway, like standing over beside with the rope to the curtain to those sandbags, and he's just like, let's go.
Watch out.
Watch out. Boom.
I do think it's funny because it's kind of like you're going to be on Broadway, which, I mean, a lot of actors are doing now, but at the same time, I just kind of feel like it's one of those, no one else would hire me, so I'm going to go do this.
Well, it's a safe bet because, for one, how much publicity is pumped on Broadway, and that's the thing. I also have to think that if you have him in your movie, what happens if he does get convicted, if he does get prosecuted?
And then you're pulled,
Like, all of a sudden, now you've got not only bad publicity, but either he gets pulled in the middle of production or pulled from press junkets, and it's like your movie's just going to crater.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you take a chance on that?
And again, I still
Can
think...
you blame anybody for not taking him in a movie?
Even this thing isn't even 100% sure bet because, like I was saying, they don't have a producer yet, so unless they get one, like, it's not going anywhere. Like, you have to have... like. So I just think that's funny because I was reading that it's very unprecedented to not have your producers first. Yeah. So I was just like, okay, well, maybe he'll get to do it. Maybe they'll be like, oh, nobody wants to fund it because you're in it. Get out.
I can't help but think that ultimately, I'm like, it's not going to go anywhere. And truth be told, look, I don't feel sorry for you.
I don't.
If anything, I absolutely loathe you, and you deserve to accept responsibility for your actions, your heinous actions, whether it was an accident or not. The problem is now it's not even a situation of it being an accident in my mind. It's time has passed and you've negated responsibility for so long that you are reckless, and to the point of saying that even if it was accidental, you're just worried about yourself. You're selfish. You're a narcissistic asshole.
I would feel worse for him if he wasn't trying to turn himself into the victim.
Right.
The fact that he's trying to make it like, oh, now my life's ruined. It's no, you ruined the lives of her family and you ended her life. So I'm just saying, So it's like, whose life is ruined here? Not yours. I mean, I'm sorry that
you still have air in your lungs, buddy.
Yeah. And millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
And what more than likely going to get a slap on the wrist. So it's like for you to act like your whole career is ruined because you.
Yeah, who's the one that's going to have a legal team that's on your behalf?
Yeah.
Who's going to be fighting tooth and nail for this, and you're going to pay out the wazoo? But guess what? Her family doesn't have that.
Yeah.
If anybody, they have the audacity to go after you to nail your ass because they know you can pay. And even that, the amount of pay that you could provide is not going to be enough to bring her back to life.
Yeah,
that's right.
All right, let's move on from Baldwin. He's such a dick.
I mean, he was before he shot somebody. So
he was exactly. He was already a prick, and now it's just
he's just showing how much of a prick he really is.
He's a prick with a gun.
That's right. Let's talk about another prick. Before we talk about darlings.
No, we're fine. Which prick are we talking about?
Talking about Suge Smith.
Oh man.
I love that he called him this. So Rock responded.
I actually love the way he responded to because I agree. He doesn't owe Will Smith anything.
Yep.
Talk about another situation where the person who perpetrated the incident is trying to act like a victim.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, he calls Will Smith's recent apology video, he called it a hostage video. And I was like, it is perfect. Though, because that's exactly what it is. It's like, I'm going to send this video and make it public so that now you have no choice but to acknowledge and forgive me, because if you don't, it makes you look bad. And it's like, no, it doesn't make him look bad. It still makes you look like a jackass because you're trying to force an forgiveness out of him.
Yeah, but most hostage videos, the video you're making is being forced upon you. You don't make it because you want to. You make it because somebody's got a gun to your head.
That's true.
And I'm like, in the video, it doesn't look genuine. It looks like his agents and his publicity people. They said you need to do a video. You need to do a public thing. So that's what he did. And it's only doing it because he has to, not because he wants to.
I have to believe it is a hostage video, and that on the other side of that camera
is Jada
Smith.
Jada's like, it's like, our name has been slandered enough. You fix this right now.
It's like,
she went G.I. Jane on him.
Right. She did. She was like, you either fix this or I'm going to sleep with that 17-year-old.
I think that was funny, too, that he said, and he got mad over one of the nicest jokes I've ever told.
Yeah.
But when you think of like some of the because he's honest that he has told way worse jokes. A lot of comedians have.
Well,
but you can't tell jokes anymore.
This was said while he's touring over in Europe with Chappelle. And he came on before Chappelle, so when Chappelle came on, he had his own 2 cents to say.
Chappelle likes to get it
was hilarious.
Him up.
But
it's great.
He even said, he was like, dude, I'm not even sure if I was there in Chris Rock's shoes, he's like, I can tell you this. He's like, I would not have made it easy for Will Smith the rest of that night.
No.
And I'm like, that exactly. Because I'm sorry, that was not only disrespectful to Rock, but it's like he showed tremendous restraint.
Yes.
Considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
How in the world could you sit there and
the fact
apologize 4 months later? This half-assed apology.
Cool and collected and finished doing his part on stage without any more qualms. It did show a great deal of restraint and just better character. Like Chris Rock has 1,000 times more character than Will Smith, the way he handled that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally.
Well, I think it shows a lot too, the things that he is saying, because so much time has passed that everybody's kind of thought, well, maybe he's just gonna, he slept on it, he's gonna let it go, he's not gonna bring it up. But even the way that he is bringing it up, which is, it's pretty blunt. He's doing it on a comedy show.
Yeah.
He's not doing it on an interview or anything like that. He's doing it on his show. So it's,
and he did.
They can't really say anything because it's part of his skit.
It's very. I think you're right. It's very creative, and honestly, it's genius to do it that way, because you know that your words and what you say on the matter are going to make it out on social media and people are going to hear about it. But you're not getting on there on national TV or posting a YouTube video
he's dealing with
response.
He's dealing with it on his own terms, because he did restrain for some time. People would ask him and he wouldn't comment. And then now that time has passed and he's doing it on the comedy shows when people ask, he's being honest, but it is a part of his show and he can do it without making it this huge moment. Like Will Smith keeps doing this stuff online and everything, and Chris Rock is doing it, I think, in a way that
it is the best thing
that
Will Smith, along with Alec Baldwin, could have done is after the
shut up and go away.
Exactly. Shut up, stay low, get out of the public eye, and look, we don't want to hear from you for a few years. Give the family time to breathe with regard to Helena Hutchins and actually work through the proceedings and wait till the case is closed and everything comes out in the open. You can't do that because you're so egotistical and narcissistic. Same with Will Smith. Give it time to rest. Let Rock respond in his own amount of time without pressure from anybody else, and freaking stay silent. But they can't do it.
Maybe if Will Smith had shut up and not kept dragging Chris Rock into all this, maybe he wouldn't be making all the jokes he does now. But at this point, he kind of has no choice but to respond in some way, because no one will shut up about it. So it's like, okay, if no one's going to shut up, then I'm going to tell jokes about it, and I don't blame you.
That was like even. Oh no, go ahead. You started first.
I was just gonna say the other funny joke he said was Chappelle was like, he's like, it's crazy that Will Smith was playing a nice guy for 30 years.
Yeah.
I was like, dang.
Yeah, he took the mask off, and he's like, I hope he doesn't ever put the mask back on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, I think that shows too that other people in the industry recognize that this guy did not have it all together, but he was pretending to.
Yeah.
That his marriage was in shambles, but he was pretending like everything's being worked out. Got to a boiling point where he made himself look like an ass.
Yep.
And it's like I was getting ready to say, like, even if Chris Rock did, if Smith was silent and let it go, and Chris Rock did joke about it, it would be in Will Smith's best interest to just say, you know what, you're right. Yep, you're right. Joke all you want about it. I made a fool of myself. Make a mockery of it. Do whatever you need to do. I got you. I understand. And just play. I mean, that's what they do at the Academy Awards. The host gets up there, jokes on all the people, and they sit there and laugh about it and shake their head because they know it's true.
And they move on.
And they move on, exactly. And it's just like, if he did say that, just do that and let it go. And I think things would have worked their way out. But now, like you said, with Will Smith forcing the conversation, I really think Chris Rock and Will Smith are not going to make amends anytime soon.
Well, the thing is, Chris Rock doesn't owe Will Smith anything.
No.
The fact that they keep harping on him is like, well, we've reached out, I've apologized, he's not said anything. It's like, he doesn't owe you anything.
Nope.
You did him wrong, not the other way around. So just shut up until he's ready to forgive you, or maybe he never will.
The only remarks on the subject should be it's a private matter.
Yep.
After,
that's what they started with.
Incident is a private matter. We're trying to take care of it. That's it. Because the more you speak publicly about it, the more you're hearkening back to the very public incident. That's the reason why it's like we talked about it on the show that Tuesday following the Oscars. We talked about how, as a person, absolutely, I thought it was great. It showed great character of Denzel or Tyler Perry walking up to Smith and being like, "Dude, look," and even like Denzel being like, "Dude, calm down. The devil's got a hold of you right now," and taking it to a spiritual warfare level. And on a personal level, I don't think that was the wrong way to handle it or the wrong way to approach it. And we all agreed on the show that's how it should be approached personally. But in the public eye, the problem is you're a public figure. What you did was wrong, and you will be lambasted because of those actions, and you should be held accountable for them until the rightful thing is done, which is when Rock decides to forgive you.
Yeah.
And yeah, he owes you nothing. And I'm sorry, but those things in those public affairs are those consequences last a lot longer than a private man-to-man issue. This isn't some scuffle that happened between two nobodies in a back alley somewhere. This is a scuffle that happened on national television between two huge actors. This isn't something that goes away in a few months or a couple years even.
The good thing about it is not many people saw it.
Well, everybody saw it
because it was on the Oscars.
I said everybody saw it. They just saw it after the fact.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody saw it live, except the 1% of people who were watching.
5 minutes
like
after
us.
it went 5 minutes after it went viral, everybody saw it, but they weren't watching it when it happened.
Started talking about it immediately the next day, and then acted like everybody watched the Oscars.
Did you see that stuff? It's crazy.
Yeah. And it's like, who won the award after? Don't answer. Don't answer that here. We'll see if anybody knows. Because really, you ruined it for him, and that was another fake apology in that video. Anyways, let's move on to our third topic is going to be about "Don't Worry, Darling." Let's talk about that because the technically the fourth topic is kind of leads into our story time.
Okay.
So some weird crap happened. Like, look.
I'll be honest. I have read some stuff, but I don't know all the details. Just because most of it's all rumors.
Let's think about because I think I was in the theater with y'all when I first saw the trailer for this movie.
Yeah, I mean we saw it and it didn't look.
Well, at first I was intrigued.
Yeah,
and then when I saw the way
it was headed, the way it was going,
the portrayal of the direction it was going in terms of being directed by Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde is no. She doesn't hide how she feels about being very feminine and obviously the feminine rise in our culture.
Men are
and
bad.
How terrible men are. Even though she loves to date them younger and younger, like Leo likes to date younger and younger. But it's funny how I was put off by that alone, simply because her idea of and again they even talk about it in the article we linked to. She had the critically acclaimed book. Was it Booksmart? I think was the name of the movie that she first directed. That was her directorial debut. It was like a coming of age between two teenage girls. But it was a flop, a box office flop. And part of the reason I think it was because I'm like, well, yeah, you're talking about two teenage girls from a woman's perspective of who's been a floozy and promiscuous in Hollywood for all these years, and try to promote that as something that is these life age.
She's very pro woman's sexuality, and that's what this movie apparently is all about. Like she wanted to really promote like females,
which is funny because when you look into a lot of the articles we link below between her, Florence Pugh, who's the main leading actress, which apparently
there's apparently some conflict there.
Some conflict there between her and Harry Styles, who started dating on the set after her public divorce between her and Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
And there's some questions as to whether or not that relationship started while they were on the set, that there was an affair.
Some people think that might be part of the feud, that there was some unprofessionalism that Florence Pugh didn't appreciate, but there's other things too. I mean, there's a whole levy of list.
Even her unprofessional nature with regard to even Harry Styles, and how there would be days where she was kind of more caught up in that relationship than actually directing. That there was apparently a side. I mean, all of this is rumor and speculation, but it's interesting that and we've brought him up many times on this show, Jordan Peterson. That apparently it came out days before the premiere at the Venice Film Festival that Chris Pine's character is supposed to be the leftist viewpoint of what Jordan Peterson is in their eyes, and that's who he's supposed to portray. So I'd love to really honestly see the film for that regard alone, just to see how they butcher him and what he really stands for, because they probably never read any of his works or actually heard him in any of his speeches.
She called him an incel, which I had never heard of.
Oh, yeah.
But what's the definition of that? You remember?
Oh gosh, you're testing me on my wokeonomics.
It was a man who
it's someone who
believes that women should give them sex, like they're obligated.
Well, they're unable to attract. They can't get women to have sex with them, but it's not their fault that they can't get women.
I thought I read it the other way around.
Wait, what'd you think?
I thought when I read it that it was a white male who believes that women's that giving them sex is part of their
duty.
Their duty, yeah, something along those lines.
They need to.
I mean, that's probably part of it too, because it's like they're involuntarily celibate. Like they want to have sex with women, but women won't because
celibate.
Women won't have sex with them, and it's not their fault. It's because women are bad
I don't
won't
see
do what they're
I don't see Jordan Peterson being that kind of guy.
Well, it's always funny that they pick these guys who are married and have children.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Because it's like
involuntary celibate.
He's not
that's
a single man.
That's what incel means. Involuntary celibate.
Yeah.
But
how do you know he's celibate?
He's not.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
how
the
does
thing.
she? Why would she even?
Because that's the thing.
That.
Just like Hollywood, they create
all
their own reality.
misogynistic men are now incels, even though that can't be true because some of them, like we've said, like people call Shapiro an incel, but it's like he's married with children, so obviously that's not true.
Right.
I mean, how did you have children?
He has sex with one woman, his wife.
Well,
like
that's the thing. If that's
now it's just a derogatory term to throw around, even though it's
just like a racist, a bigot, any of the six herbs, sexist, intolerant, xenophobic, whatever they are.
Because as much as this movie's been getting flack, it's not been received well, and a lot of it I think is also partially because of just how unprofessional. Like I don't know what problems there may or may not be because they're all rumors. But the fact that Olivia Wilde has handled it so unprofessionally, she's thrown her co-stars under the bus. There was the whole Shia incidents that we found it was
Shia LaBeouf just came out and said, "I quit."
Oh,
she didn't fire me.
He sent emails to Variety. You can look it up. And there's a video that leaked that he sent to Variety where he sent her saying like he didn't have time to rehearse and he didn't think it was fair, so he was going to pull out. And she sent the thing thanking him and like, I know it's hard to say no, but I appreciate your honesty and this and that. And then she sent a video pleading with him to stay. Like, I think we could work it out if you stay. And that video leaked online. You can look it up. And I'm sitting here watching this like, how could you say you fired him because of his attitude when they hadn't even gone into production yet? He quit before they even started filming.
I'm gonna say something controversial.
So I mean, like that was.
I'm gonna say something real controversial because she's a woman. And
I think she knew his reputation.
I was going to say she wanted to give off the appearance of power.
Yes, she knew his reputation was in the trash. She didn't think anybody would question her on it. If she's like, "Yeah, I had to fire him because
I'm the director. I'm going to fire him."
She knew he had a history of bad behavior, so she's like, "I had to fire him for his behavior." And then when she got caught in the lie, she's just like,
well, because him pulling out, even for his own reasons, whatever they may be, it puts the appearance on her that nobody wants to work on your movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like
and the problem is I wonder if even in question beforehand was the problem of whether or not it was falling apart when he backed out, and if she was either trying to salvage that by being like, no, he was a problem, we got rid of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, but why would you throw somebody under the bus just to salvage your own? Again, that says more about you and your character and ultimately why the movie is in shambles to begin with.
She did it on Florence Pugh's behalf, and that's another rumor that maybe that's part of the friction is that Florence Pugh didn't appreciate her using her name as a reason for why, like, because that wasn't true. So she's like, "Oh, you should just threw my name."
Now, what
in there.
was the rumor of Florence Pugh's reason for not wanting to work with Shia LaBeouf?
Oh, she's never made a statement about not wanting to work with him.
No.
They think that's might be one of the reasons that her and Olivia Wilde are butting heads is because she's throwing her name into situations.
Well, she was trying. It was almost like Olivia Wilde was trying to say the reason Shia LaBeouf backed out was because Florence is difficult to work with. Almost as if like that, and
but
that was never
simply,
even.
He never got to rehearse or do anything, so he didn't think.
Shia LaBeouf never said that, and that was only speculated in a video post apparently that Olivia Wilde had posted, and they're thinking that's why Florence Pugh.
The only person we've heard from on almost all of this is Olivia Wilde. And it's kind of, and then she just keeps kind of digging herself
but not
a bigger
even
hole.
recently. It's just been in broken things up to this point because she's been the only one interviewed and been willing to say on.
Well,
because
Florence
here's the
Pugh
thing,
hasn't gone to any press conferences for the movie,
and I almost believe that and there were some that were saying maybe she's just got a busy schedule. She's in.
That's true. She's filming Dune too.
Yeah, and so it's like she could be busy with that. But I think it's look when you have a movie coming out. And you're a major character, and honestly, you're the shining light.
You're normally contracted to do promotional material,
right? And the fact that she just outright refused to do any of the press junkets within the Venice Film Festival after this premiered kind of shows you to the degree of I think how sour the taste is in everybody's mouth on this film.
Yep. And
Chris Pine kind of looking off in the middle of nowhere and looking bizarrely in pressers like I don't know what's going on. He's just sitting there looking, staring off. not.
He's like, I just won't be done with this,
right?
Man.
and then there is the contested. Now, people have said apparently Harry Styles or Chris. I think it was Chris Pine's PR.
His PR said Harry Styles did
not spit in it. But
there's a video that looks like it. Yeah,
you watch the video.
There's another angle where it doesn't. So I'm a little because they did show from another angle where the exact same thing.
Just Chris Pine's face though.
Yeah, it does.
He looks like he's just like, I'm not going to do nothing. Yeah. Like, I'm just going to let this pass.
Someone said that they think he forgot where his sunglasses were. And he was like, oh, there they are. I was like, okay.
Yeah. What? That's so particular.
Because he has them like in his lap or whatever, too.
I don't know.
Apparently, there's texts leaked, too, between Florence Pugh and Shia LaBeouf where she is telling him, like, hey, I did a memorial for a friend that passed, and I missed rehearsal. Sorry about that. And that was one of the reasons that he didn't get that rehearsal, so he didn't feel like he was being prepared. But she actually texts him, and the texts are leaked online.
Yeah, there's
where she apologizes to him for missing the rehearsal, and then they go into the fact that that he's going to leave, and so she's even refuting what Olivia Wilde said.
Yeah, from my understanding, like it just seems like kind of like an Alec Baldwin situation where Olivia Wilde's like, well, everybody else was the problem, and I just did my best to keep everything together.
Well, and I think that's the reason why I jokingly, obviously you couldn't take it as a joke, you're probably not even listening to this show anymore, but the reason why I just said it's because of women is because from a woman director to be in such a prominent role and be given such responsibility, you're expected to, it's not even about just being a woman. Any man who's in the same role, as a director, you're a leader. And if you give off a leadership mentality, you're going to be respected. If you don't, and you look like who you really are underneath is just somebody who is, causing problems and causing trouble and running from responsibility and not taking up the mantle that you should be holding as the leader of this film, it's like it's going to fall apart.
One of the links, maybe it was an article I read on my own, but I thought one of the links even stated like one of the rumors was that Olivia Wilde had come so unprepared or was so distracted by her affair with Styles that there were times when Florence Pugh actually had to step in and help direct because Olivia Wilde was not even...
There was another one
set up to do whatever she needed to do. I don't know.
Again, this is all rumors, and I hate bringing up rumors and speculation.
It's just interesting, I guess, to see that there's so much drama surrounding this film.
Well, and that's
know what's
that's
true.
The big question. The big question is because of all the drama that's surrounding this film is when it comes out, is it going to be proven, or is it going to prove successful because of all the big name stars? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are hoping. I think they're hoping for the turnout because of fans of Harry Styles or seeing Chris Pine and all these big name actors. But I have to think, it's like, look, I mean, you can only have so much not only controversy, but you still have to have substance within a film for it to surpass even the diehard fans of Harry Styles. Yeah. And at this point, if Booksmart was a flop, and that was her first one, and this one is already getting bad publicity, not just because of the controversy, but because people are even saying Florence Pugh is the only shining light in this film. They're saying her performance is the only standout.
That good,
Right. And so I'm like, if that's the case, then it says to me that this is going to be a flop. And when it does come out, and you already have, again, part of the premise, and that's what I find so funny, is her coming from such a staunchly feministic role of how bad men are in this society, and yet you want people to cater to somehow support that viewpoint by seeing your film, and yet it's like, no, not even your base, not even women are rallying behind this film because you didn't even make a film that they want to see.
Yeah.
So honestly, the only failure here is on you, Olivia Wilde, and it seems like you've been contentious throughout this whole process since production began, and you've not actually been the leader that you so claim to be, so feverishly existing within your own head, that it's all falling apart here in the end, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. Look in the mirror, honey. Sorry, but don't worry, darling. maybe you can find some hope in another female protagonist. And that is in the one and only Gladriel from Rings of Power.
I just thought maybe you were going to say that people review bomb. Don't worry, darling.
There you go. You know? That would have been a better.
They might have. I don't know.
Because honestly, we'll talk a little bit about it in story time because it kind of ties in, I think, our story time segment with
maybe
this.
I guess our opinion of the show
More so.
Yeah, but
this is more about the news surrounding Rings of Power and it being review bombed because it's not a movie. We know that.
Yeah.
But it is big news because it obviously Lord of the Rings are such
it's a massive
amazing
show,
films.
Obviously, and there's a huge discrepancy between the critic score and the audience score. And sometimes that is justified. I do think to an extent, though, that I agree that there's some review bombing going on in the sense that I don't think it's as bad as some people complain about, as far as a lot of the review bombing has to do with it being woke, or people are tired of all the woke productions, and they're so protective of Lord of the Rings that they're sick of seeing like what they perceive as woke decisions in the show. Mm-hmm. And some I think are valid gripes, but I think there's a lot of them watching both episodes. It's like, this is nowhere near as bad as people are making it out to be. I think it's just a reaction of people are sick of woke stuff, and now they're kind of just taking it out on anything they perceive as woke. And I was like, I think maybe some people are jumping the gun a little bit with this.
No, I agree.
Well, and it's funny because the article kind of brings that up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It talks about how over the course of time that people will probably start to. It's really how the series takes off.
They're going to be
here.
harsher from now on because people are so sick of seeing woke everywhere. And I do think that's a shame because some things...
Well, no, they actually reversed. They said that they would probably lighten up because if
as
the series,
show goes on, they'll lighten. I just meant not just this show. I mean, and everything that comes out, you're seeing it now. Every time something releases, people have the immediate gut reaction because they don't know for sure. And when any small change, because even House of the Dragon, there was complaints about the one actor who's African American, whereas Valerians were all described as pale skinned, platinum haired. And there was some gripes about that, but for the most part, people have settled on that. And I think they'll settle with Lord of the Rings.
Freaking awesome character.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. They settled because the character speaks for himself, and the acting speaks for itself.
Yes, and the show's well done, so people are like, okay, we'll back off of that. And if Lord of the Rings...
There's even also a hint at, and not to spoil anything for House of the Dragon, that he's not like... And again, maybe this is a deviation from...
There's kind of a hint
that he's 100% Valerian.
There's some hint that his lineage is from the Summer Isles, which does include black people within the setting of that story.
Right.
I think if Lord of the Rings follows the same trend of focusing on telling a good story and not worrying about shoving diversity or any ideas in, people will settle as well and be fine. But that initial reaction, because it looks like that's what you're going for rather than the story people love, they're going to be like, well, why are you shoehorning these things
honestly,
in that didn't exist?
The criticism, too, of the review bombing, I think, is also at hand on the other side of the aisle of people who are complaining about it being woke when, I agree. I don't think it's necessarily crossed that bar or that line yet. Nowhere near like She-Hulk. But I do believe that it's like from the other perspective, it's like, oh, well, they're only review bombing it because of this. I'm like, no, there are some genuine gripes within the complaints that I think will level off over time. But again, it's like anything. The moment you shut down dissent or discussion, it amplifies it that much more, or it makes it seem suspect. And I think that, the review bombing was not technically shut down on Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, but primarily on Amazon Prime servers where you couldn't go on Amazon Prime and rate it there. Yeah. They shut it down. And granted, look, do I think that that's the wrong decision to make? Yes, because if you truly stand behind your product, you don't care what the naysayers think, and ultimately most people will come at it if they see that there's any hint.
It was still
their
highest 25 million people watched it. That speaks for itself.
It was still the highest streamed show Amazon has premiered so far. So it's like, look, for all the review bombing, people were still checking it out. And if they continue to check it out, then you have nothing to worry about.
Right.
Now, if viewership continues to drop off, then maybe, there's something in your show that people have an actual problem with.
Well, it's also... go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, part of that 25 million viewership was also the first 2 episodes. So people didn't just quit after the first episode.
Nope.
They went ahead and watched another hour, and that shows commitment. I'm one of those people, I give it 3 episodes, and then I'm in or out. And I watched them back to back, and I mean, I've told you I enjoyed it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I liked it. I actually felt that it was better than some of The Hobbit, but nothing compared to Jackson's Lord of the Rings,
no, it doesn't.
obviously. And I think that's what some of the fans and stuff they're wanting. You're never going. he set the bar a mile high, and it's never going to be reached. And it's like, just as long as they're not completely, and I don't know the lore. I don't know.
I mean, so
the
far,
story.
like, as far as the lore goes, they're not. I mean, there's some things I have gripes about, but they're not everything.
But there were changes to the Lord of the Rings too to make it fit into a film.
Even Peter Jackson made changes.
Yeah.
And over time, like in hindsight, it's like you could tell when those decisions are justified and right. Like, I mean, there's complaints about the scoring of The Shire not being in the films, and I was disappointed when I first saw Return of the King and it wasn't in there, but after watching the movie, it's like, no, it makes sense. It kind of would have just, for the pacing of a film, it would not have been done well.
Very juxtaposed.
Like, it might have worked if it was a series, but as a film, I don't think it would have worked. And there's things about this that I'm watching, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure how I feel about certain things being glossed over, but at the same time, we don't know that they might not go back to some of that stuff. They might, or it might actually flow better. Like, until we've seen it.
Well, a lot of the reviews
2 episodes
are
is not enough to really
judge.
judge.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, these people are prematurely jumping the gun. And a lot of the reviews are about a lot of the bad reviews are about the interracial couples. Yeah. And I'm like, out of the 5 main couples in the film, 4 of them are interracial couples.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that doesn't bother me. You're talking about a diverse world that Tolkien created.
The only thing that bothered me about that was just how blatantly diverse it is.
And
the reason,
mixed couple
right?
pairing,
and I'm just, it's not that I think, there can't be mixed couples. I'm just like, okay, but when every single one,
I understand,
it's a little bit in the odds of this is just not something you see every day, and you can say, well, but it's a fantasy. That's not my gripe. Okay, fine. But again, when you shine a light on something that is glaringly, obviously not normal, which is just something that, and when I say not normal, not that it can't be, it's just, I mean, in the sense,
people should only date within their own race,
right? That's not what I'm saying.
I know.
What I mean is, it's not something you see every day.
It's
like, you see interracial couples, but it's not 51% of the population.
Yeah,
and that's why I'm like, okay, yes, I understand it's a fantasy universe, but it just, when you see something like that out of the norm, your attention's going to be drawn to it more. And it's not that, I had a problem with there being diversity. Of course, that's like, there's nothing wrong with that. Just like within House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
It's like,
if we're
I
going to
didn't
dive
care at
deeper
all.
into both of these, do you want to move on to the story? Because we're not talking about the review bombing anymore. We might as well
the point is,
move
you
along.
shouldn't shut down reviews. Even if you find that people are being disingenuous, the fact is, let them stand. And over time, your series will speak for itself.
Yep.
You have to trust in the process and trust that people aren't just going to continually bomb it.
Over time, the real reviews are going to win out anyways, because people are only going to review bomb, at the beginning, and then they're going to get bored and move on. They're not going to continue.
Exactly.
No one's going to
don't
continue
last
to review
forever.
bomb your movie indefinitely or your show.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then. Yes, we can finally do that to our Storytime segment, where we'll probably bring this back up.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
That's story time. We got story time. Yeah, tell the story.
It's beautiful.
Playing the belly bass.
Tell the story.
Whoa, Black Betty.
Story
Whoa, bam,
time.
bam. Whoa, Black Betty.
I gotta stop.
The dog's
Edie's
coming.
getting.
She
Yeah.
thinks
She
it's over.
heard.
It's not over
Yeah,
yet.
that's
dog.
right. She's getting
It's not over.
So
You're tempting her.
story time.
Let's talk about it.
We'll tell a story.
What'd you do on your Labor Day weekend?
Watch Lord of the Rings and House of the Dragon. Now I'll mention the other things I did first because they won't take us long. So I did go over to my parents. We actually on Sunday instead of Labor Day. And
I want to preface the whole reason we chose this topic was just to revert back and talk about Lord of the Rings.
At some point. Because that's where that's a good show. But yeah, I went to my parents. That was fun. I went and saw the Dragon Ball Super movie with my nephews, and that was fun. It was better than Fall. And that was mostly it. Otherwise, I caught up on House of the Dragon and Lord of the Rings. And I enjoyed both. I'm a little bit more in favor of House of the Dragon right now, but I did like both.
We'll talk about that in a sec. Sean, what about you? What did you do this Labor Day
pretty much the same thing, but I also watched Top Gun Maverick.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a great way to
I did
celebrate
watch that,
Labor Day.
and
Not only did it win the
just
box
as good.
office this past weekend, it also was it was the top streamed movie.
Yes.
This weekend.
Yes,
It's
and it's
continuing.
It nudged out
fifth
'cause-
highest grossing film domestically.
Surpassed Black Panther.
Yep. It was funny because for a little bit there, Spider-Man was #1, and then Top Gun edged it out. And I was actually happy to see that.
I was too.
I was like, yes,
that's
get
right.
that #1 spot. Take it.
Screw Marvel. Can't bring us back.
Yeah.
Done. Dead to me. Anyway, sorry. Continue, Sean.
No, I watched the same thing you guys did. I had actually watched House of the Dragon. That came out the week before, didn't it? I watched it the night it premiered.
I watched the 2 episodes before this weekend, but the third one dropped this weekend, so I watched it.
I have not seen that yet.
Yeah, I won't say that.
You haven't?
No. I have not seen that.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah.
It was good.
I also watched Beavis and Butthead because that comes out every Thursday on Paramount.
We took the kids to Kentucky Down Under on Labor Day.
Nice.
And pet kangaroos, which was legit.
Okay.
It was cool.
Yeah.
Labor Day, yeah.
Did you get hit by a Joey?
Nope. I just fed the Joeys.
Oh,
and
nice.
them Joeys, the male Joeys, they got some big balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
My youngest son asked about those.
He noticed it?
He did. I said, kangaroos box, that's the punching bag.
Nice.
That's their speed bag right there.
Yeah.
A train.
Nice.
So,
That was like Trip was the same height as the bull's genitalia at the zoo. or not the zoo, the state fair.
Yeah.
fair.
And so he immediately saw that firsthand. And he was wow, that's large. What's that? It's like, well, that's a...
you got some, yours just aren't as large.
Yeah, we call that a pull-up bar. So you get your reps in.
It's like sometimes rednecks hang those from the back of their truck.
That's right.
truck nuts.
That's it. No, I did the same thing as you all.
You hang bull nuts from the back of your truck?
I went out there and I just was pummeling them.
Yeah.
But no, I did actually watch 2 movies with my parents that I was not... was expecting to... it's not that I wasn't expecting to like them. I'd heard them.
Oh, you'd never seen... I know one of them. You'd never seen that before?
No.
I'm going to let you announce it because I'm surprised.
There are 2 of them that I had never seen before that I probably should have, considering I'm a movie buff.
Yeah.
U571 was one.
Excellent movie.
Good movie.
Yeah, I'm not
Very
seeing
good.
that. I've never even heard of that, honestly.
Bon Jovi's in that movie.
Yeah, it was very
Not
weird.
a bad actor either.
No, he wasn't. It was actually
I've never
good.
even heard of it. I'll check U571.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
about
great
the
submarine movie.
German U-boat.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. I'll check
Matthew
it out.
McConaughey.
You've never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, that does kind of surprise me. I at least heard of it.
I'm surprised too.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Now, the other one shocked me.
But the and I also it was between that and The Hunt for Red October because I'd never seen that.
Another good one.
You've never seen
I
Hunt for
know. Well, here's the thing.
Now, that one I love.
Yeah.
So a guy at work
Alec
had
Baldwin's in
bought
it, though.
the 4K version, but had bought he forgot that he had bought it before, so he actually has 2 copies and he sold me one for a pretty cheap price. So I have it on 4K Blu-ray.
Nice.
I just
I
haven't
just
watched
would have
it.
given it to you, but I get it now.
So
I know you
was
much
fine.
better. I just here's a copy.
But then I watched
Avatar. Sean has 5.
Screw that
4.
movie.
4.
But then I also watched the Robert De Niro version of Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Never seen Cape Fear.
Yeah.
So I was very happy with that movie. I didn't know Scorsese directed it.
Yes. Yeah.
That was very
Cape
shocking to
Fear's
me.
good. I like Cape Fear.
Good. Definitely. It has a lot of. As I was watching it, I was like, "There's a lot of Scorsese on this film."
Who plays the dad? Is it Jeff Bridges?
Nick Nolte.
Nick Nolte is the dad in that. Yeah.
And Juliette Lewis is
Yes,
the
the
she
daughter.
plays
Yeah.
I will
terrific,
confess-
like young, dumb, stupid.
I like Cape Fear.
Fantastic.
I don't think it's as. It's good. It is good. I don't want to say, but I think it gets a little bit more, and maybe this is just me.
No, I would agree.
I think it gets a little more hyped than it actually deserves, but it is a good movie.
And I think it's because of Scorsese's name, but sadly,
Well,
after I watched it,
a little bit early.
exactly.
Scorsese.
I know it was early, but it really kind of left the same. I mean, I liked it.
Yeah.
And I wasn't as disappointed with it as I was, say, Shutter Island. But it's one of those where, for me, I'm kind of like, definitely not my top Scorsese films. Kind of okay, I could see him wanting to do horror, but add his little flair to it.
For me, what I kind of remind myself is, like, for its time when it came, because again, it's early Scorsese, like, having used to seeing his later works and you go back and watch it, it's kind of like, you're like, this isn't as great as I thought it'd be, but you also have to consider it's also one of his first, like, great movies, so people, like, at the
that
time
was in the early 90s, wasn't it? Cape Fear?
I thought it was
thought it was
earlier than that. I thought it was either
Earlier than
80s
that?
or
80s?
yeah. I'd have to look. Cape
Was it?
Fear?
I thought it was before he did Goodfellas, but I could be wrong.
Because it does have an appearance by, let's see, 91.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
Holy crap.
Then I guess it wasn't that early.
I'm very surprised by that.
Because I just feel like, but I mean, either way, it's not bad. Like, I'm not trying to knock it because I do like it. I just never felt it was it is. It's not Goodfellas.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not.
Hell, even The Departed.
It's not The Departed.
Oh, yeah.
It's
The Departed's great.
Excellent.
Yeah, Hugo.
Silence. That was
Silence.
Hugo. I do love Hugo.
I like Hugo. I mean, he's done. The guy. Yeah, he does some great.
I want to have to
great
rewatch
movies.
Silence.
I'm just gonna go through a bunch of
It's so
Scorsese
good.
I've seen that.
movies.
So
'cause
good.
I've seen
he
it.
is-
I saw it when it came out, but I need to see
It's
it.
very
I did
dense.
love Silence. It is
but it's
dense.
good. It's good. But no, let's talk about. I guess the ones that we really want to talk about. Let's talk about. So here's the thing. I actually am glad that I held off because I did know that by the time we got down to the lake that House of the Dragon had released, and I debated downloading it to my iPad and watching it at the lake. I'm glad I didn't.
Oh yeah, I knew from the beginning. It's like, no, I want to watch this
In all
on
of
my
its splendor.
TV with my surround sound, and I am glad because it's definitely the production value's there, same as Game of Thrones.
Just like
not that Lord of the Rings is the production value's there too, definitely.
actually, I would say, and again, not maybe because I think Rings of Power, in terms of its vastness and how much it has to showcase, and granted, we know how much they spent on the freaking thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like 200 plus
or
million.
something.
I mean, there's honestly times
To me, the production value is better in Rings of Power. And that's not to say House of the Dragon's a slouch. It's just, I feel like House of the Dragon's always been medieval and very primitive. So a lot of
I
their
think it fits.
decor.
The
Oh,
production
yeah, absolutely. They just don't have to spend as much on it. Most of it goes to the CGI.
the first episode of House of the Dragon, there were some times with the dragons where I was like, ooh, I kind of felt like their CGI wasn't as good as Game of Thrones. But then the second and third episode, both, I was like, no, now they look just as good as that show. I don't know what it was about the first episode.
Pilot.
Maybe.
Because I noticed with Rings of Power, too, if you notice their intros are not there until the second episode.
There was some CGI in Lord of the Rings that I actually felt was worse than how. Not the grand sweeping shots. All those were gorgeous.
That freaking
but
troll
was.
I thought it looked better than the troll in Lord of the Rings.
Yes,
I thought it looked better than the white the white troll or the white orc in Hobbit.
Oh, no,
definitely. Yeah.
But there were other shots, like the shot of her climbing the mountain in the ice. I still thought some of the CGI there looked kind of iffy. There were some shots in Lord of the Rings where I was like, okay, but nothing. Again, the CGI in the Hobbit was pretty bad.
The boat sailing down the river. The whole opening scene. We'll get into it. I know we're just jumping all over the place, but ultimately, I was glad to have watched House of the Dragon and Rings of Power.
Is it House of the Dragon or House of Dragons?
House of the Dragon, because I'm pretty sure the dragon, they're called the House of the Dragon. I
thought the show was called House of Dragons.
It's House of the Dragon. Yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I had to jujule it.
But I actually watched both the premiere episodes of both shows the same weekend.
Yeah.
So I was very happy and pleased to have done that. Not really to compare and contrast, even though inevitably you're going to, because of them being two huge high fantasy series releasing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, come on. Even though we know that people nowadays just buy subscriptions to everything and watch all of their favorite epic shows. It's like you're fans of these series, you're going to watch both. And it's going to be hard pressed not to compare them. And so for me, I couldn't help but edge out House of the Dragon because it felt so much in the same vein as Game of Thrones, and I loved the political nature of that show that I honestly almost kind of overlooked and didn't like early on, but it really hooked me, and I just getting to know all the characters, and
This
immediately from the outset,
very, very well.
Oh, so well.
I mean, you can tell, like, already knowing where the story's kind of going from reading George R.R. Martin's books. It is interesting. Like, for me, right now, as far as lore goes, I would give House of the Dragon the edge, just because from the very outset, I feel like they're starting to introduce the characters, their machinations, which ones are wanting power and where, and it does follow the lore. I mean, there's changes, there always will be, but it is following the lore fairly well. I don't want to say so much that Rings of Power isn't. It's just they're kind of, I feel like, taking longer to kind of set things up. And I'm right now, just because I don't know, I'm like, well, I know House of the Dragon, right from the very beginning, they seem to be on it. So that's why I'm kind of giving that one the head right now. And as Rings of Power goes along, we'll see. It's not bad. I just feel like House of the Dragon right now just hit the ground running.
Sean, what about you?
No, I agree with Keith. Lord of the Rings for me. I mean, Rings of Power for me. The scenery and a lot of the set pieces, the costumes, all that stuff, it fits perfectly. But the story didn't have the same pace to me as the films do. And I know that you're taking a show and spreading it out over this long period of time. So it's going to be, what, 8? Is it going to be 8 or 10 episodes? I know, like, the House of Dragons is House of the Dragons. I'm going to have to get that right.
Yeah.
That's usually, they're usually 8 or 10
I think
episodes.
Game of Thrones is usually,
I think, I'm thinking probably by the 4th or 5th episode, the Rings of Power is really going to show its flair. But just seeing there was one shot where it pans over the map of Middle Earth, and of course it's going over Rohan, but it's called something different in that time. It was called it starts with an R.
Well, actually, the one I noticed was Mordor being named differently.
Yeah,
but it
shows. But
it say Rohan should still be.
It was called like the
Rohirrim or whatever.
Rohirrim, or something weird
that's
like
correct,
that.
Yeah,
but it was like when it shows the landscape though, it was identical to when they're running through that land chasing the orcs over and trying to find the hobbits. And it was just amazing that, because I don't even know if they literally filmed this in New Zealand or not, but if they didn't, they completely nailed the landscape and everything to make it look just like where Peter Jackson filmed a lot of this
Agreed.
stuff.
Same with the production design as well.
It put me back in that setting, but the characters and some of the story beats didn't really, and again, I don't know the lore, I don't know all of that, so I don't know what changes were made or how true it is.
They filmed in New Zealand.
Did they?
For some reason, I thought they filmed in like
it.
Scotland or something, but no, they filmed in New Zealand.
That's why it looks the same then.
Yeah.
But it put me back in that place. So I'm hoping that over time it's going to really sink in and kind of, I don't know, some of the things that people are complaining about, I didn't really complain about the female lead in this. I think she's going to grow into a more genuine and a more seasoned character.
My only gripes there were just maybe some lore things that, again, I can't gripe about until I see how much further the like it's like I can't really say anything.
Gripe about it because I don't know it. I'm only knowing, I'm seeing it for the first time. I've never read it. I don't know I don't know the backstory. So I am enjoying it, but House of the Dragon is insane. Like it's like Game of Thrones didn't end. It's like, I mean, it is a prequel, but it feels in the same vein. The writing is in the same vein, except for the last season of Game of Thrones.
That's what a lot of people are saying.
This feels more like the beginning of Game of Thrones, which I appreciate.
I said the lucky thing is they already know how the story starts to finish on this one, so hopefully they can't botch it because I mean, they already have a map for this.
The
how
dragons look better. I think the dragons are so much more tangible and real looking. Like,
which is to be expected with 4 or 5 years since Game of Thrones ended.
I love actually seeing, because I mean within lore of dragons, you know, there are different like looks to and I love the fact that they don't all look like Dany's dragons from Game of Thrones. If you look like Daemon's red dragon has a kind of a more worm-like design and
a big long slithery neck and stuff.
Because I think
it adds character development.
It adds character. Like the sea serpent or whatever, and I love that. I love that like the dragons, like there are kind of different species of dragons as well. I was like, oh, this is great.
Well, the lore of just how he's like it'll never return to the way it was. We had 1,000+ dragons.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just sitting here and I'm thinking, holy crap! And they're rolling the world with 10.
Yeah.
Like that's, but see, that's the thing. The little details
we've only
they
seen
add.
2.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
And the little details they just add throughout to flesh out the world, but in a like that was the thing that disappointed me the most about, you know, between House of the Dragon and Rings of Power. Rings of Power, there were times where I felt like the dialogue was a little too forced into trying to force it to sound like the movies, but also mix in some, you know, I would say I think the Harfoots, the hobbits of the show,
ancestors,
are the only ones that kind of felt authentic and real for 100%.
Yeah.
Every other race, I felt like they were just dancing around the fact that okay, we got to make them seem mythological, and ultimately we have to try to shoehorn our plot into the dialogue in a certain way that it just didn't seem natural the way it came across. Whereas House of the Dragon, it really does seem like it's the same writers, the same exact kind of...
Well, they do have some of the same writers and directors from Game of Thrones,
it just
I think that heavily
completely feels like it fits within that world and right at home, and I didn't have that problem. I never felt like, you know, the plot was being spoon-fed through exposition scenes that were just boring. And that was the ultimate... That was how I walked away with Rings of Power. Not disinterested, definitely want to see where they're going, but right now the only thing holding it up for me is the tremendous amount of amazing production value.
Yeah,
the story in and of
gripes.
itself, I found myself multiple times, especially in the second episode of Rings of Power, looking at my phone, checking IMDb to see some of the
episode.
I just did not care about what I was invested in. I told Keith too, I said, sadly, there was only one set piece battle that I thought was really well done, and at first it even kind of, the setup I thought was weak, which is when the orc is in their house and they have this little, they're both hiding in suspense moment. I kept thinking, okay, you're waiting for a jump scare, this is boring. But once the jump scare happens and they actually fight the orc, and then the whole fight scene within that house was creatively done. It was actually well orchestrated, and I thought, okay, this is orchestrated. It was choreographed really well. Unlike every single, I felt like, set piece in the Lord of the Rings movies, where every single one was. But I felt like that was wasted opportunities, and I didn't mind the look and the design. It was realistic looking of the troll, but I thought that scene was a letdown. The scene with the worm in the water was a letdown. There were just these. It was like these. We got to have this set piece battle to throw in some liven it up and get some action in there. And I'm like, no, we don't. We don't need these little episodic moments of fighting or action. I'm like, let the story build and let the drama, and even and it's funny because House of the Dragon could fall in the same category because they have the jousting scenes within but I thought like it lived
felt
up
naturally.
It felt natural.
Everything
and then blending that together
naturally.
with the birth was awesome. And showing the birth scene
that just from the first episode,
so freaking, oh man.
I mean, all of my gripes with Rings of Power are, I would say, minor gripes. I mean, there's things like her trying to swim. Like, that was just dumb to me. I was like, she just jumped off the ship and she's going to swim all the way back.
Well, that's where I was like, what are the odds in this vast ocean of her bumping into a small raft?
Yeah. There was some just stuff like that where I was just like, come on, you guys could have come up with something more creative to explain this than just be like, well, she's an elf, she could do it. It's like,
people probably, they really do find the silliest things to gripe about. One of them was about the servants on the boat. Have you read that one?
No,
there was a big complaint. Apparently, there's a controversy about when they're on the ship sailing to the Undying Lands. When they get close and the veil starts to open. There's female servant elves on the boat that take their weapons and they just lay them down on the floor, and people are saying, well, what's the role of these servant elves? Are they only there to usher in these people? Do they get to go there or whatever? But it was because they gave off a vibe of them being like servants. That they're people were complaining about it.
I would have a general complaint of like, what is their purpose? Like if that was where it stopped, like, okay, well, what? But that's the thing. That's the problem that I'm seeing with Rings of Power. Is, House of the Dragon, especially with the end of Game of Thrones, and it being so poorly received. Even though I was one of the rare exceptions of liking it from start to finish, I enjoyed it. Yes, there were some things rushed, but I didn't mind the ending. But even then, with so many people being bitterly divided with how Game of Thrones ended, there was kind of nowhere but up to go, unless you completely butchered it.
Yeah.
And as long as you got somewhat close to that feeling, which they not only nailed, they exceeded, in my opinion, with that first episode of House of the Dragon, it's like, okay, then you got nothing else to worry about. The problem is Tolkien has had years of fans and lore, and I mean, you have such one of the bedrocks of any high fantasy story today is Lord of the Rings and Tolkien's universe. So you're going to have way more...
Considered the godfather of modern fantasy.
Right.
Yeah,
so you're going to have way more scrutiny with regard to appeasing those people. Yeah. And it's like, that's why my contention with the review bombing, yes, I'm going to be in the middle of, hey, let's not count it out yet. But at the same time, you're going to have to live up to the scrutiny of people reviewing this and saying, hey, you didn't follow this detail, or you left out this, and even if there's copyright issues, or we don't have the rights to that material, okay, that's fine, but you at least have to preface it with, this is why it's explained this way, and people will forgive you as long as they know you're being genuine and honest with how you approach the material. And I think there's been grumblings of, again, like you said, with everything today, we've seen every major property and franchise go into this woke universe, everybody's worried about that, especially with things that already are predetermined
like I said,
and settled.
Even House of the Dragon had some gripes beginning, and most of those have settled down. Whereas Lord of the Rings is getting a little bit more. One, because it is more high profile, and two, because the changes they do have, like House of the Dragon have some minor changes, but they get the lore pretty spot on. When you look at Lord of the Rings, it's not that they're not getting the lore spot on, but there's little details. Like I even told you, like Elrond and some of the elves' hair, like I'm like, this is supposed to be like kind of middle aged, and I know elves are a little bit more advanced than people, but some of like the buzz cuts and stuff, I'm just like,
yeah,
no. It's not a big deal. I can look past it, but it does bother me some. That I'm like, I kind of feel like you could have gone with a better design because that just doesn't feel authentic to the time period.
Right.
So those little things I get, but at the same time, I also don't think it's enough to derail the show.
Yeah.
Right. No, I agreed. And I think that's why even us, yes, House of the Dragon has the edge right now, but I'm enjoying both.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to see where Rings of Power goes. Now, of course, right now it hasn't hooked me as much. Like I'm willing to be a lot more forgiving towards House of the Dragon and taking a few missteps than I am Rings of Power.
Yeah, same.
You've got to do nothing but excel from here. And so I'm very intrigued to see where they go, but of course, ultimately that depends on what direction they head in. And we'll only see throughout this first season of Rings of Power.
I'm looking forward. I mean, we got Rings of Power on Fridays and House of the Dragon on Sundays. I'm just like, man.
I know. And NFL, I mean, we're getting into fall, baby. Chili, hot dogs, and fire pits. It's going to be great. Oh man.
Are you not entertained?
Thank you all so
Chili,
much
hot dogs, and fire pits.
for tuning in. I can't wait. It's weather, baby. Let's go pumpkin spice.
Yeah.
Starbucks.
Killing me, Smalls.
Oktoberfest is out right now.
Boy.
Schnitzel.
Get some of that.
Boy.
Want them Jaeger schnitzel.
Yum.
Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast.
think
Thank you
so.
all so much for tuning in. We appreciate all the love that you all give us right there at the bottom of the screen.
Love.
Right down there. Red Moon Book, Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Pics on your Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, of course, search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube.
The YouTubes.
Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love that you can give us.
Yeah, what are we reviewing next week?
That's going to be decided off the air. Because my schedule's
always
kind
do
of
that.
iffy.
I like to put you on the spot.
Well,
Obviously, we're going to have a show.
we have.
I have no idea when I'm going to be able to watch it.
So we can discuss that thought
Okay,
and share on Facebook.
discuss that thought.
Yeah, we'll let everybody know. We'll drop a hint on the Facey books, the books of the
Yeah.
faces.
A nugget.
Hold on, wait. What? Oh, dang, we could have made a Game of Thrones reference. What's the place with all the faces?
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
That's not it.
At
Crap.
the Godwood, where the woods on the feet, like the
No,
trees.
no. When she goes and remember like the whole task of her trying to like steal other people's
Oh, you're talking
identity.
about the faceless,
Varga
the faceless,
Magule,
the faceless, the
but I forget
faceless
what
men.
city. Yeah, the faceless men. What is the?
Yeah,
I forget that.
I don't remember.
If you know and you were a Game of Thrones fan, obviously we're not.
I don't remember.
We're not big enough fans. But also at the bottom of your screen, another way to reach us, that
Yeah.
old-fashioned way.
Yep.
Email.
down this way.
You got it. Look at
Down,
it. What?
down there.
He was prepared.
Down.
Now it's on Sean's screen.
Ooh.
He's double.
Which one?
He's double poking.
Poking. If they don't want to get on the socials and they just want to go all old school with electronic mails.
Yeah, it works with AOL,
So,
Netscape.
They would send that to where now it would be RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Couldn't have said it better
Is
myself.
that correct?
That was
Okay.
beautiful.
Yep.
RMPodcast at Red Moon Productions.
I just enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
You're right. You didn't say it as good.
I
don't know why.
I don't have as good a timbre.
No.
RMPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
The
Beautiful.
bass. It's the
It's
bass.
the bass.
The
That's
bass in his
beautiful.
I love
voice.
doing that.
Love it.
That's my phone voice from work.
You talk to
Hello,
people like
and,
that?
No, like that because you have to.
with Baptist Hill.
Sometimes
Can I help
I
you?
will leave like phone messages like that though. It's like if you would please call us back. I won't drop the number, but yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Alrighty, guys. Until next on the Red Moon Podcast. Of course, catch us live here every single Tuesday, live at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
that was beautiful radio voice.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.